Basic concepts of a object-oriented programming. The basic concept means some ideas behind the object-oriented programming languages. The ideas are objects and classes, data abstraction and encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, compile time and runtime mechanism, dynamic binding, and message communication. The first one is the objects and classes. The objects are the basic runtime entities in an object-oriented system. So they may represent a person, a place, a bank account, a table of data, or any item that the program may handle. So these all are representing some real world object. The real world objects share the two characteristics, the state and behavior. All the real world objects have these two characteristics. For example, the dogs have the states, the name, color, breed, hungry, also have the behavior, barking and fetching. Another one example is, consider here person as an object. So here this person have the two data, the name and the basic pay. These two represent the data, and the salary and the tax. This represent the methods or a behavior of that person. So in this example, this person is the name of the object. So when a program is executed, the objects interact by sending message to one another. For example, you just imagine the customer and account. These two are the two different objects in a banking program. Then the customer objects may send a message to the account object requesting for the balance. So the each object contains data and code to manipulate the data. So the object can interact without having to know the details of each other's data or a code. So it is sufficient to know the type of message accepted and type of response returned by the objects. Next one, class. This class is a user-defined blueprint or prototype from which objects are created. So we know the objects contain the data and the code to manipulate that particular data. The entire set of data and code of an object can be made a user-defined data type using the concepts of a class. So the class may be thought of as a data type and an object as a variable of that particular data type. So the once a class has been defined, so we can create any number of objects belong to that particular class. So this each object is associated with the data of a type class with which they are created. So we can say the class is there's a collection of objects of the similar data type. So in this figure, the mango, apple, and orange, these all are the members of the class fruit. So these classes are user-defined data type and behave like the built-in types of a programming language. So normally the syntax used to create this object is a same way we can use to create the objects in a C language. Then example, fruit mango. So in this statement create an object mango belong to the class fruit. The next one, the data encapsulation and the abstraction. The wrapping up of data and methods into a single unit is called the encapsulation. So data, this is a most striking feature of this object-oriented programming language. So we know that this single unit is called the class. So the data is not accessible to the outside world, and only those methods which are wrapped into the class can access it. So these methods provide the interface between the object's data and the program. So this instruction of the data from direct access by the program is called the data hiding. Next one, data abstraction. This abstraction refers to the act of representing essential features without including the background details or explanations. So the data abstraction is the process of hiding certain details and showing only the essential information to the user. So consider one simple example of a mobile phone. So we know it is a complex electronic device which is used for text and voice communication. How the internal circuitry of the mobile phone function to enable the end user to talk to a remote person is irrelevant from his viewpoint. The only thing that is concerned about is the fact that By pressing the green answer key, he can talk to the person on the other side. Thus, the user is isolated from all the complex circuitry, which is well encapsulated within the mobile phone. So now we think of the standard operations that can be performed with a mobile phone, the dialing a call, receiving a call, sending and receiving text messages, etc. So also you consider the common data elements that are found in all types of mobile phones are the address books, inbox, sent items, etc. So we can refer to these sets of data and operations as an abstraction of a generic mobile phones. So in other words, we can simply say that all mobile phones from different manufacturers are nothing but different instances of this common abstraction of a generic mobile phones. Then next one is inheritance. The normally we know the inheritance is the common term for property or any possession that comes to a heir. So this is the future that represent the is a relationship between the different classes. So the inheritance is the process by which objects of one class acquire the properties of objects of another one class. So the idea behind this inheritance in Java is that you can create a new classes that are built upon a existing classes. So when you inherit from an existing class, you can reuse methods and fields of the parent class. This is one example. So here employee is one class and the programmer is another one class. The programmer is a subclass and the employee is the superclass. The relationship between these two classes is a programmer is a employee. You created this class programmer from the employee class. In object-oriented programming, the concept of inheritance provides the idea of a reusability. So in this example, the programmer object can access the field of an own class as well as of a employee class. That is a code reusability. This means we can add additional features to an existing class without modifying it. So this is possible by deriving a new class from the existing one. The new class will have the combined features of both the classes. Thus, the real appeal and power of the inheritance mechanism is that it allows the programmer to reuse a class that is almost but not exactly what he wants and to tailor the class in such a way that it does not introduce any undesirable side effect into the rest of the classes. The next one, polymorphism. The polymorphism means ability to take more than one item. So this is one of the important role in allowing object having different internal structures to share the same external interface. For example, an operation may exhibit different behavior in a different instances. The behavior depends upon the type of data used in that particular operation. So in this figure shows that a single function name, that is draw, this can be used to handle different number and different type of arguments. So we can say polymorphism plays an important role in allowing objects having different internal structures to share the same external interfaces. This means that a general class of operations may be accessed in the same manner even though specific actions associated with each operation may differ. Next one, the compile time and the runtime mechanism. In the context of programming language, the compile time may refer to any of the following. The operations performed by the compiler such as semantic and semantic analysis, then pre-runtime assessment of the program's behavior. In Java, apart from syntax and semantic checks, on important logical task that is considered to be performed at compile time is the implementation of a inheritance. So it is at compile time that the child class inherits the public data members and methods of the base class. So the runtime on the other hand is the time period when a semantically correct program is actually executed in the computer system. Thus all the tasks that are performed during this time period are prefixed with the word runtime or dynamic, such as runtime type checking or a dynamic memory allocation. In Java, one of the important concept that is associated with the runtime is the implementation of a polymorphism. It is also referred to as the dynamic binding. So this dynamic binding is nothing, is refers to the, or that is linking of a procedure. This calls to the code to be executed in response to the call. So the dynamic binding, that means the code associated with a given procedure call is not known until the time of the call runtime. So simply we can say the dynamic binding means the method call is bonded to the method body at the runtime. The next one is a message communication. An object-oriented program consists of a set of objects that communicate with each other. The process of programming in an object-oriented language involves the following some basics. The first, you create the classes, then you create an object, then finally you establishing communication among the objects. This object, this figure represents the 5 different types of the objects. These all objects are the communicate with each other. The objects communicate with one another by sending and receiving information much the same way as people pass message to one another. Next, Java program structure. The Java is a general purpose object oriented programming language. So usually a computer language is either compiled or interpreted. The compiler means what? The compiler is a set of instruction or program that decodes instructions written in a higher order language and produce an assembly language. The compiler transforms code written in a high level language into a machine code at once before program runs. The interpreter also convert each high-level program statement one by one into the machine code during the program runtime. So the Java combines both these approaches, thus making Java a two-stage system. So first, the Java compiler translate the source code into the bytecode instruction. Then next is bytecodes are not machine code instruction. Then second stage, the Java interpreter generates a machine code that can be directly executed by the machine that is running the Java program. So we can thus say the Java is both a compiled and an interpreted language. So we can develop the two types of a Java program, the standalone applications and the web applets. These standalone applications are programs written in Java to carry out certain tasks on a standalone local computer. This Java can be used to develop the programs for all kinds of applications like C, C++, etc. So the executing the standalone Java program involves the mainly two steps. First one, you compiling the source code into bytecode using this JavaC compiler. Then second step, you execute the bytecode program using the Java interpreter. So the standalone applications are also known as a desktop application or window-based application. So these are traditional software that we need to install on every machine. So example of these standalone applications are media player, antiviruses, etc. Then next one is the web applets. These applets are small Java programs. These developed for the internet applications. An applet located on server can be downloaded via internet and executed on a local computer using a Java capable browser. So we can develop applets for doing everything from simple animated graphics to the complex games and utilities. So since the applets are the embedded in a hypertext markup language document and run inside the web page. So this creating and running applets more complex than the creating a normal standalone application. So the standalone program can read and write files and perform certain operations that applet cannot do this type of operation. So an applet can only run within the web browsers. So these are the two different types of the Java programs. This is the Java structure. Documentation section, package statement, import statement, interface statement, class definition, and main method class. So Java programming language is a platform independent. That means you can run the Java in any platform. So a Java program may contain many classes. Only one class defines a main method. Every Java application program must include this main method. So the classes contain data members and the methods or functions. These methods may contain the data type declarations and executable some statements. To write a Java program, we first define classes and then put them together. So a Java program may contain one or more sections. These sections are this documentation section, the package statement, import statement, interface statement, class definition, and the main method class. The first one is a documentation section. The documentation section comprises a set of command lines giving the name of the program, the author, and other details which the program would like to refer to at a later stage. So it is used to improve the readability of the program. It consisted of a comments in a Java which include basic information. A Java comment is not necessarily limited to a confined space. It can appear anywhere in the code. So these comments must explain why and what of the classes and how of algorithms. The compiler ignores these comments during the time of execution. Okay, and it is meant for improving the readability of the Java program. So there are three types of comments we can use inside the Java program: the single line comment, multi-line comment, and documentation comment. The single line comment, we can use this single line comment by using the symbol the slash. Multi-line comment, the slash star symbol. The documentation comment represent by using the symbol slash the double star symbol. The next one, package statement. The first statement allowed in Java file is a package statement. There is a provision in Java that allows you to declare your classes in a collection called this package. This statement declares a package name and informs the compiler that the classes defined here belong to this particular package. So there can be only one package statement in a Java program, and it has to be at the beginning of the code before any class or interface declaration. So in this example, the package statement, this statement declares that all the classes and interfaces defined in this source file are a part of the student package. So the package statement is optional. That is, our classes do not have to be the part of that package. The next one is import statements. The import statement is used to refer to the classes stored in other packages. And many predefined classes are stored in a package in Java. An import statement is always written after the package statement, but it has to be before any class declaration. We can import a specific class or classes in an import statement. For example, here the import student test. This statement instructs the interpreter to load the test class. This contains the package student. So using this import statement, we can have access to classes that are part of the other named packages. The next one is an interface statement. This section is used to specify an interface in Java. An interface is like a class but includes a group of method declarations. This is also an optional section and is used only when we wish to implement the multiple inheritance feature in the program. An interface is a lot of similar to in Java, but it contains only the constants and the method declaration. Next, the class definitions. A Java program may contain several class definitions. Classes are an essential part of any program. So the class is a primary part. These classes are used to map the object of the real world problems. A class is a user-defined blueprint or prototype from which objects are created. So we can say a class is a collection of variables and methods that operate on the fields. So every program in Java will have at least one class with the main method. Next one is a main method class. The main method is from where the execution actually starts and follow the order specified for the some statements. Then every Java standalone program requires a main method as its starting point. This class is the essential part of a Java program. The main method creates objects of various classes and establishes communication between them. On reaching the end of the main program, terminates and the control passes back to the operating system. This is a one example program. So in this example, this starts with the class called the example. Then next one is a command line. This improve the readability. We can use commands to define a specific node or functionality of methods, etc. for the programmer. So the command line indicates the main method declaration. The next one is a braces. The curly braces are used to group all the commands together to make sure that the commands belong to a class or that method. Next, another one import statement is a public static void main string arguments. So when the main method is declared public, it means that it can be used outside of this class as well. So the word static means that we want to access a method without making its objects, as we call the main method without creating any objects. So the word void, this indicates it does not return any value. The main is declared as a void because it does not return any value. So this main is the method which is an essential part of any Java program. The next keyword is a string arguments. It is an array. It is an actually represent an array. So where each element is a string which is named as an argument. So if you run the Java code through this console, you can pass the input parameters. So the main takes it as an input. Next statement is a system.out.println the hello world. This statement is used to print the output on the screen where the system is predefined class, out is the object of the class, the method println prints the text on the screen with a new line. So all Java statement end with a semicolon. This is one example for the simple Java program.